For this educational video, let's peer back into the last recession to see if we can plan better for the incoming recession of 2024. In front of you is the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF from January 1st of 2008. You can see right here the time frame to December of 2009. The reason why I use this time frame is that the recession officially was announced right here on this red line right here in December of 2008. On that date, the NBER announced that we are in a recession, and that recession started in December of 2007. Thus, I start the chart in January of 2008, a few days after the official starting date of the last recession. So for this video, let's take a look at how various key sectors that have ETF that we can compare with the S&P 500 to see how it performed over time during the same time frame, so that we can position ourselves better in 2024 should a recession arrive, right? So I have a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ETF that I will add to this chart. So let's start out with XLB, which is the material ETF. Okay, so let's do that. If you have never done this in Thinkorswim software, what you do is go to study, you click on study, add study, and go all the way down to the bottom. There is compare, okay, and you click on that compare, and then you can add symbol. So let's do XLB. All right, so the S&P 500, the SPY will stay as a candle, and all future stocks, ETF, will be just a line. So as you can see, the XLB perform pretty much in line with the S&P 500. Okay, sure, there are periods that it outperform, but at the end of the day, it mirror. And I think this is something that you can expect, very similar to a lot of different sectors. But let's go through one by one. So that's the material. All right, so let's add another one. Next up, I'm going to add healthcare, XLV. Okay. Well, look at that. Different. This is one reason why, for those that follow me for the past 2+ years, as I talk about defensive play, right there, as you can see, XLV perform better than the S&P 500. Okay. At the worst, as you can see, the bottom of the market in March of 2009, the SPY was down 53%. Yeah, 53.5%. And guess what? XLV, 34%. Okay? Well, 37.66 to be exact. So, is it bad? Yes. At the end of the day, it would not shock me if every ETF of every sector that I bring onto this chart will show you that they all decline. The only question is the magnitude of the decline, right? So we all know healthcare perform better, and it recouped at pretty much the same rate that the S&P 500. So if you position yourself in healthcare, you did not miss out on the rise, the return, the recoup of the SPY. Okay. All right. Let's add the next one. Eventually, we might have to. I might have to delete some because I think it might be too busy of a chart. But we'll see. We'll see. Next up, what should I add? Let's do XLP, which is the consumer staple. Well, look at that. Once again, for those that follow me for the past 2+ years, as we are looking ahead to this incoming slowest moving recession, most highly anticipated recession that I can remember. There you go. That's the reason why I have been recommending consumer staples. Because at the end of the day, people will cut back on a lot of things, but they will not, can't cut back on consumer staples. That's why it's called consumer staples, okay? And once again, if you position yourself in this sector, guess what? At the bottom of the market, you're down roughly 32%. And then, as you can see in the chart, you rise just as fast, matching the S&P 500. So you're not leaving behind much, okay? You're not missing out by putting money in XLV and XLP and ignoring SPY, right? All right, let's move to the next one. Let's see. Next on my list is XLE, which is Energy's ETF. XLE. Can anybody guess what this one's gonna do? You can't see it, but it's down here. It's performed basically in line. In fact, now that we know the very first one, which was the XLB, we can remove that one so that we can see the XLE is this gray line here. Okay, let me put it right here. Okay, you see it? There you go. That's the reason why I have said many times in the past few months about USO, why you do not want to be in it. If and when we are heading into a recession, no matter how mild or how bad it is, because if we are heading into a recession and the S&P 500 is going to go down, doesn't matter if it's going to go down 20% or 30% or 40% or 50%, energy sector will take similar beating, okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. Add study, compare. All right, next one up is discretionary, XLY. Okay, I can guess where this is gonna go, but we'll see. Oh, look at that. This is the first one that surprised me. There you go. The bright yellow. It declined, very similar, matching the S&P 500, but it recouped probably the strongest compared to all of the ETF that we have put on the screen so far, right? There's no doubt that it matched the S&P 500 in the decline, but from the bottom, it rise from the ash and outpaced everyone. In fact, it almost caught up and surpassed the XLV and XLP. Impressive. So now we know, okay? Now we know that if we smelled the bottom during the recession, near the end of the recession. Reallocation, adding to consumer discretionary might be the smart thing to do because it will outperform many other sectors. Okay, keep that in mind. Right, next up would be XLK, which is a technology. This is going to be the one that I'm most interested in seeing how it will perform. XLK. XLK. It is a busy looking chart, so all right, here you go. The red line. Once again, the XLK matched the S&P 500, but it did outperform the S&P 500. It caught up to the consumer healthcare, right? The blue line. This one is healthcare. This one is the staple, correct? So the staple is still the king. Next up, you have the discretionary, and then you have the technology. So technology, yeah, it didn't do very well. Okay, right here, I mean the red line. I mean the red line is a technology. Unbelievable. Okay, very impressive as far as how technology behaves. So once again, that's another sector that did outperform the S&P 500 at the bottom of the market. Last one, banks. Okay, banks. Last one. The chart is so busy, I have a hard time keeping track of anything, but we'll soldier through it. Okay. Next one, banks. XLF. XLF. Last one. Oof. 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 Okay. Now, do I think that this incoming recession will be this bad? This should not be a surprise. Okay. We all know what happened in the last great financial crisis, right? You have Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, all the mortgage company blowing up, right? That's why it's worse than anything else. Okay, it down as much as 78%. Yeah, from the start date to the bottom, 78+%. Yeah, and look at the recover. Also, the weakest of the bunch. So now, I don't believe or expect the financial sector to perform this poorly for this incoming recession. But it does not mean that I want to be in it either, right? For those that follow me again, once again, if you follow my channel and saw all the live streams in the past few months, I also said I don't want to be in the financial. Okay, it's just like I don't want to be in technology or discretionary. There's a lot of sectors that I want to avoid. The two that very obvious that we want to stay in is, of course, healthcare and consumer staples. That's the reason why I talk about buying into Coke, Pepsi, the McDonald's on the cheap instead of chasing energy, banks, technology. It's okay to chase them right now, okay? But once we go into next year and the economic data deteriorate further, the closer that we are to the Fed cutting rate, the closer we are to avoid all the sectors that you saw here that took a big dive, okay? You don't want to be in them. You wait for them to bottom, and then you can jump in. As we can see, the consumer discretionary sector. That's the one, okay? So we will keep our eyes on that sector next year. Should we have a recession? Should there is a bottom to the market? When and if we see it, then we can pile into consumer discretionary stocks. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.